welcome to the show after the show. This is the best part.
I like this
This
part.
is a very fun part.
Thank you.
So I loved your idea of having us do a taste test just there. It was really fun and really interactive and great to pull our whole team in it. So talk to us a little bit about that, sensory aspects of our industry.
So this is, it's really important for our industry because we're developing products for human beings, and the human being population is really experiencing food and beverage in very different ways. I like to say each individual one of us lives in our own sensory world. Mm-hmm. So this taste test that we just did was just one way to segment the population. You know, think of it at bell curve, and you've got people at both ends where you have people who are extremely sensitive to taste and others who are less so. And then you've got kind of the center of the bell curve where they have kind of an average experience. And I want to make clear that this is one sense. It is not aroma. It is not texture. It is not sound. It is not
color. We just learned.
Yeah,
I wanted to touch on that color one.
That's
that
really
was
interesting.
News to me. I loved that.
It's just taste. And for people who don't know what taste encompasses, it's only 5 things: sweet, sour, bitter, salt, and umami, or otherwise known as savory.
And if you want more on that, you got to look up Barb's TED Talk, which is amazing on umami.
Thank you so much.
There's a lot on that. That's a good education on that one.
So 5 basic tastes make up the sense of taste: sweet, sour, bitter, salt, and umami. And what that lets you know, this test that we took, is where you fall on that spectrum and what your experience is generally of these basic tastes. Mm. What that does not correlate to is whether or not you're going to like chocolate or you like you're going to like Brussels sprouts versus cauliflower, because there's so much else going on with chocolate and Brussels sprouts and cauliflower. We know there's texture and color and all of the other things, aroma, and you're in the aroma business.
Yes,
so you know
huge.
It is huge
and nostalgic. I think love nostalgic.
The aspect. Most perfectly connected with our brain sense, that's aroma. So you guys are dealing in some pretty heavy shit.
Yeah,
seriously.
Absolutely.
Because aromas will send you back in time or remind you of people.
I'm thinking of walking into a cottage that smells just like my great aunt's cottage. You know, it's so memorable.
Absolutely.
You feel like you're there.
Yeah, it's really evocative in a way that taste isn't: sweet, sour. I mean, they don't really remind you of anything. But we did this live taste test. So it was really super fun. Thanks for being game, everybody.
Yeah.
And
I think we did turn into a bell curve, didn't we?
We kind of did.
We kind of did turn into a bell curve.
Yeah, we had a lot of us, in the middle. Mm-hmm. So we're working in the business of making products that are as broadly appealing as we can. That's what we do at Mattson. Mm-hmm. And so we're developing for the center of the bell curve because that's where 50% of the population falls.
And those other people at the other end, they can't taste anything. They don't care anyway. They'll eat anything. So they're fine. So
true.
You got 80-20 going on there. That's that poor 20%.
You're absolutely right, though. Seriously, you are. Because the people who are what we call tolerant tasters, they have fewer taste buds. They're pretty accepting of everything. Yeah. Then you've got the people who are hyper tasters, and they're picky.
Right.
And you don't want to develop for them because they're only 25% of the population.
They're a pain in the ass.
And they are a pain in the ass. They're going to complain about things. It's too sour. It's too bitter.
Yeah.
So
too mushy.
You develop for the middle. Yeah. That's
like Goldilocks.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's really good for 2 reasons. One is if you're in the world of sensory, or if you're tasting products as a professional, or, that could be as a chef. It could be as whatever you're doing.
Right.
It helps you understand your personal experience. And like we talked about earlier, hopefully you're working in collaborative teams.
Right.
And on the team, you can articulate, I'm a hyper taster, so I'm super sensitive to bitter. So maybe you should taste this.
Right.
Because I'm not really that objective when it comes to bitter.
Or I really, really don't like blue cheese or ketones or whatever you want to call it. And I mean, we have people like that, and then they'll excuse themselves from this blue cheese salad dressing project. It's like, that's not my thing, and I'm going to hate everything that I taste. So, yeah,
that
good.
is so important for people to excuse themselves for sure. I like that you actually have that as part of your culture. Culture, dairy culture.
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
Culture.
Yeah, it is important because exactly like you're saying, you want the mainstream people is who we're marketing to and trying to solve the problems for.
And then the other thing is just empathy. Just having empathy for people around you and their experience of food. And I think that helps have empathy with other things.
Yeah.
It's like we're so judgmental about taste.
Yeah.
Why?
And there's really no wrong answer.
There is no wrong answer.
I know at Edlong we say that when we're doing taste tests, but then people get kind of funny and like, "What do you mean there's no wrong answer? You're crazy. What do you take?" But it gets, at least it's kind of humorous that you're this outlier and it's tasting that. But I think that also the cool thing about tasting in a group is when someone suggests something, like Circus peanuts. Like that's one that not everybody gets. Those of us that have ever had Circus peanuts, like it's again nostalgic and a memorable taste. Or I was tasting, I think it was with Denise recently, and I'm like, it's Band-Aids. And she's like, oh my God, it's totally Band-Aids. Yep.
Do you know what Band-Aids is?
Yes. Well, I forgot.
It can be rancidity. There's components of Band-Aids that are rancid. Also Play-Doh.
Yes.
Now we're getting super weird.
Yeah.
And people are going, what are you talking about?
Why would I want to taste Band-Aids? And that's what I love about our flavor classes, because you taste it or smell it either way extremely, and then they'll show it in a food, and you're like, now you're looking for the Band-Aid in something. Milk, a glass of milk. Drink a glass of milk and think Band-Aid, and you'll get Band-Aid.
Seriously?
It's creepy.
Are you going to ruin milk for me?
No, because you can get over it because milk's really good. But it's a good component in milk, oddly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of a fun one.
Okay, interesting. That's because there are.
I wish I had. I don't think I have any milk. We could do another taste.
Don't ruin milk for me. I love my milk.
I think one more thing that while we're kind of hanging out and chatting, I would like you to touch on the culture of Mattson. I think that sounds really special.
It is such a special place. So first of all, we came out of a family company. Pete Mattson, our founder, started the company. His wife was the accountant. His daughter was the food scientist, and that was how it started. And then they hired and hired and hired and hired. We bought the company from the Mattsons. Steve Gundrum, our president and CEO at the time, who was another mentor of mine, he orchestrated the setting up of an employee stock ownership plan. We are 100% employee-owned company. Beautiful. We have never taken outside investment.
That's beautiful.
We've been in business for 45 years. Wow. It is an amazing company. So when we bought the company from the Mattsons, we really tried to instill the family nature to it. So we have breakfast and lunch together every day.
Wow.
We have we celebrate every single employee's birthday. We celebrate every single holiday together. We have a really accepting, tolerant culture. We are 70% women. I don't know if that's
awesome.
I think it makes it a really nice place, but it is an excellent place to work. We created a beautiful innovation center in Silicon Valley, and we just have a really healthy culture where there's no assholes are tolerated.
Love it.
We don't let people, we don't hire people with big egos.
Uh-huh.
We like really competent people, but if that comes with an ego, you're probably not going to fit in with us. Yep. And so we're very collaborative. We have to be collaborative. Our business is serving clients, and we have to collaborate with our clients. So
as beautiful as that is, you can still enjoy growth, I imagine.
More growth is always better.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. Right.
Yes.
And how about accountability? I mean, I think that balance, because I would say Adlong has a similar culture, a lot of what you describe. And I think we're very loving, and sometimes we've been called too kind,
Yes.
which I don't
Oh,
like
yeah.
that, but and not being direct is not kind, So sometimes we struggle with accountability in the conversations, and we have to, and we are growing, but to who, like you said, more growth is always better. It's kind of how I feel too. So it's hard to balance that and stay family.
I am so glad you brought that up. I think that is a challenge. It has been a challenge for us in the past. We are getting better about it. We have a culture of nice. We do. We are now at the point, though, at our size and our growth, and the stakes are really high. The clients that we're working on are paying us a lot of money.
Right.
And we just can't tolerate people who aren't performing.
Right.
So we have to be more diligent than we have been in the past. And I think it started, it goes back to the family nature of things. Like it's hard to, it would be hard. I don't know. I've not gone through this, but I think it would be hard to say to your brother, this is just not working out. You're going to have to go somewhere else.
Right. But when you get to the realization or backed into a corner, in some cases, that it's either the business or you have to make this really hard decision that I struggled with for years, quite frankly. And then you come to the conclusion, this is my job and the livelihood of all of my,
Right.
then
It's everybody
everything
else.
gets better. Easier to make decisions when you can say what's best for the whole.
Right.
On that regard.
I think that's so important to consider that when someone's underperforming in a very nice culture, it's not that, they're just not doing their job. It's that everyone else is having to pull a little bit harder.
And they see it.
And they feel it.
And feel it.
And all of the profits, we go back into the either the ESOP or as bonuses to our 100% employee-owned workforce. So there's an impact.
Right.
So we need top performers. We're lucky though we get them
Yeah.
because of the kind of work we do, because we're working
And attracting top talent right now is
so hard.
it's the most important thing is the people.
It is. We're in the people business.
That's exactly. It's everything. It's everything.
Yeah. Attracting them, but then keeping them. Mm-hmm. And
Which means challenging them, developing them, which is easier said than done.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work to do that. But yeah, and like we've been talking about this, these new generations coming up, they want that. They demand that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And it's hard to find someone who wants to spend 26 years at a company.
Exactly. Exactly.
We're in it for the long haul. Mm-hmm. Not everybody is these days, which is it's a change in culture and the way you operate.
But I think some of it, I agree with you, and that's okay. And I think that's okay too. It's kind of back to the empathy thing. Like we have to let them launch and go somewhere else sometimes. But if we can keep their career path and listening, and there's been situations where we've moved somebody from applications to IT because that's where his interests lied.
Oh, interesting. Wow, that is like a huge
And he's great,
change.
shining star. So sometimes you can lose people because they just want to go a different path, and you have to, see if it works. And it's like, could you try that out here?
Yeah, that's great. I love that. That shows a flexibility and empathy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Barb. This has been an awesome conversation.
My
and
pleasure.
Really, really fun. So appreciate it.
Cheers again.
Cheers. Cheers again.